Continuing our conversation with Mayor Bob Foster. Bob, we were talking about the dysfunctional state legislature, and it's just unconscionable for the state to grab money after a city has balanced its budget. They come in and they grab it from the county, the city, the school districts.
Everywhere.
What should we do? What should be done at the Sacramento level? And by the way, you're not running for statewide office, but you've been speaking out on these issues because what happens at the state obviously impacts our city and every city. What should be done up there?
Well, I want to see real change. I mean, I think you have to have fundamental reform, and it's not the usual stuff that, you know, the 2/3 vote on the budget or any of that. I mean, those are, I think, in some ways marginal. The real issue is you're going to have to control spending at the state level. There really is very little real scrutiny of where money is spent. I mean, the state budgets have really expanded in great proportion.
And your party, the Democrats, have controlled the state legislature, and the unions have tremendous power up in Sacramento.
I think that that's one of the problems. There's no doubt that's one of the problems, because, you know, you continue to increase spending and more people get hired and it's more membership and et cetera, et cetera. That clearly has to be examined, but you have to control spending. The other thing, I think you have to look at things like term limits. I'd like to see more people in the legislature who've had another job, who've had a real-world job in life.
And you pointed out to me that 30 years ago, it was a part-time legislature,
a little over 30
and they
years
did have
ago.
other jobs.
Oh, absolutely, they did. They had other jobs. They came there
and if you
from
have
all
another,
walks of
if
life.
you have another job, you're not dependent on your re-election for your financial survival.
I think that's one element. I would like to see more people there who are not dependent on the job, and who, more importantly, have had experience elsewhere, who've made a payroll, who understand what it is for ordinary people, how hard it is to live.
I think you've made a good mayor because, in part, you ran Edison and had 30 years of private sector experience.
You know, I've had a lot of different experience. I mean, I was a small business owner. I was a carpet layer. I worked in a big business. I actually did walnut farming for about a year and a half.
And you always told me that if ever anything went wrong, you could always go back to lay carpet and make a living.
Yeah, it was a great backup. There's one other element that's needed in the state, and this is a very hard thing to do. We need a cultural change. You know, look, we are a state that really we have, you know, layer on top of regulation. And a lot of that is good. We want to make sure our environment's protected. We want to make sure we don't soil our nest, if you will, that we preserve something for future generations. But we have really come down hard on commercial activity in this state. We are not creating private jobs. And we treat our businesses as if they're enemies. You cannot do that. We have to encourage commerce here. The real job growth that's needed is in the private sector. Otherwise, we're going to get in a death spiral.
No employers, no jobs.
No employers, no jobs. And worse than that, you will keep trying to put tax increases on upper-income people, and people have a way out. They go, you know, they go to Nevada. You have a lot of Californians, affluent Californians, who are leaving or considering leaving this state, and they avoid California income tax entirely.
And ironically, California we would be the 11th largest economy in the world if it were a country. We have food, we have oil, we have environment, we have everything here, and yet we're kind of screwing it up.
We have a lot of natural assets, and I think it really comes from an attitude that somehow we can do anything to business and they will stay here. If that hasn't been proven wrong in the last 10 years, then I think we all need to take another look, because it's clear we have to do something to encourage business activity in the state, consistent with, look, good environmental regulation. I would hold up the Port of Long Beach as an example. We're going to clean up the Port of Long Beach. It's going to be over a 5-year period, at least 50% cleaner, maybe more like 80% cleaner, and yet we haven't really impaired commerce at that port.
Well, the economy's impaired commerce.
but not due to our actions. You know, so you can.
Our port's a leading edge in green porting, and I noticed the city won an award as the most business-friendly city.
Right.
It's a shock to many because this city has a history of making it tough for developers, but they must be doing some things right to get that award.
Look, we've tried to change the culture in our own city. You've heard me say this in State of the City addresses. We have to change from the attitude of a regulator to a facilitator. Not that we're going to reduce the requirements, or we're not going to make sure that the laws are obeyed. We are. But when someone comes in and wants to expand here or move a business here or even a simple remodel, instead of just saying no, why don't we find out how to get to yes? consistent with what
and
the
our
requirements
neighbors
are.
up at Signal Hill have done a remarkably
They have.
good job.
Yeah, and we've done better. Okay, our culture
but we
is
still have
changing.
some place to go.
Got more to go, but I will tell you, I now hear more compliments about planning and building than I hear complaints. So we're changing that. Things like the small business program to encourage small business, the enterprise zone. People understand that, and my office tries to do this.
And I know you were personally instrumental in trying to attract the movie studio. We don't know if that's going to go or not.
That and/or Tesla, and those are still
those
in
would
play.
be big home runs.
Well, we need more businesses like that here, but you really have to try to be to facilitate that as much as possible. And it really takes. It's more of an attitude than anything else, that you're going to make sure that you try to make things happen.
There we go. And we're going to make these commercials happen. We'll be back after these commercial messages.
Phil Trainees mixes California style with continental cuisine that includes fresh seafood from around the world. Since Phil is the chef, the menu has a wide variety of pastas, salads, soups, and appetizers that feature his unique personal touch. And the Italian-American signature dishes are simply beyond delicious. You never know who you're going to run into at Trainees, from the famous sports legends on the Wall of Fame to local celebrities having a drink at the bar. For the best fine dining experience, visit Phil Trainees.
At Performance Plus Tire, you'll find we carry Toyo tires. For over 50 years, Toyo has been a world leader in the development of high-quality tires. Optimum performance, safety, and a comfortable ride. That's what makes Toyo tires great. And now come into Performance Plus Tire for a great deal on these Toyo tires. Proxys ST, Open Country AT, and Proxys 4. Toyo tires, driven to perform. Come in today and we'll install new Toyo tires on your vehicle while you wait. Performance Plus Tire on Cherry Avenue, 1 mile north of the 405 in Long Beach.
It's Big Red Bus. Our English double-decker buses offer large groups a fun, unique, inexpensive alternative to standard transportation. Bar hopping, weddings, sporting events, airport pickups, kids' parties, you name it, and we'll help customize the perfect experience. We have open and closed-top buses available. Both are equipped with custom-built bars, stereo systems, and a friendly hostess. Alcohol is permitted on board. For your next event or fun occasion, call Big Red Bus at 562-852-9888 or visit us on the web.